you trust your wife?
Well, do you?
It's possible for you to retire for life on
Do You Trust Your Wife? Starring Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy, and Mortimer Snerd. Brought to you by the Frigidaire division of General Motors and the Frigidaire dealers of your community. Do you trust your wife? Ladies and gentlemen, tonight a husband, by knowing whether to trust his wife, can possibly retire for life. Our trust fund question pays $100 a week every week for an entire year. And the trust fund winner may return and keep winning an additional year's income until he's defeated. Back to compete with tonight's winners to try for $100 a week for a second year, our parakeet fancier Robert Schulteis and his wife Doris. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's the star of our show, Edgar Bergen with Mortimer Snerd. And here's our musical director, Frank Duvall. Edgar, I'd like to have you meet John and Jean Chrisman. John comes from St. Louis, Missouri, and Jean's hometown is Sioux City, Iowa. But they now reside in Hawthorne, California.
Jean, isn't it? Yes. Well, welcome to our show. And, John, what do you do?
I work for the Inglewood Farms Milk Company. I'm a sales manager.
I see.
I go door to door, canvassing for new customer accounts.
Jean, how long have you been married?
11 years.
11 years, I see. 11 years. And how old were you when you got married?
Johnny was 14 and I was 15.
Well, think of that. She was 15 and he was 14.
Well, poor fellow.
Yeah.
He was a victim of a scheming older woman.
But she wasn't much older. He was 14 and she was 15 when they got married.
Well, see, what some guys won't do to get out of school.
Yeah. Well, Jean, were you aware that he was seriously interested in you at that age?
Oh, I sure was.
Yeah.
He always followed me around to my classrooms, and they never could find him in his own classroom, so they called him the Phantom.
The Phantom, yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. What is that?
They called him the Phantom. I like that.
You like it?
I like that. That's pretty good, yeah.
What is a Phantom?
I don't know.
Jean, do you have any children?
Yes, we have 7 children.
And you've been married how long, did you say?
Married 11 years.
11 years?
And we had all 7 children by the time we were 22 years old.
7 children by the time you're 22. Now, that is unusual, isn't it, Mortimer?
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is. 22 kids by the time you're 7. No. How did you find time to do your homework? I guess that was it. Yeah.
No. They had 7 children by the time they were 22.
Oh, yeah. Now I understand. Yeah. How many kids did they have when they were 7?
That has nothing to do with it. Yeah. Do you have more boys or girls?
We had 3 boys and 4 girls.
Well, you see, she still got it all wrong.
Why?
Because 3 and 4 don't make 22.
Well, it's not supposed to. No.
Well, then it's all right, I guess.
Yeah. Mortimer, you know, you're just as stupid as the day I first met you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bergen. It's nice to know that I ain't slipping.
You're not slipping. You're not slipping. Gee, what are the ages of the children now?
They're all about a year apart. My oldest is 10 years old, and my youngest is 3 years old.
Why?
We haven't had a visit from the stork in the last 3 years.
He must be resting.
You must be hiding.
Yeah,
he's tired of the run.
Yeah. Well, now, Jean, are you planning on having any more children?
Oh, yes, we're going to make it an even dozen.
Make it an even dozen, I see.
Who are you trying to get even with?
No.
I think I'll have a baby.
Well, you can't have a baby.
Oh, no. Well, yes, I can. I read if I join Blue Cross, they'll do all the rest.
Oh, no. Well, it's been nice chatting with you. And in just a moment, we'll give you a chance to play Do You Trust Your Wife? First, a message from Frigidaire.
1, 2, 3, blow. This is, as you can see, a very special day. A party's on the agenda in the home of Bill and Helen Millard. And the order of business is to eat and eat and eat.
But my business doesn't begin until the party ends.
Take a look.
There was a time when the prospect of washing a stack of dishes like this would send cold chills up my back. But those days are gone forever. Ever since I got this. My Frigidaire automatic dishwasher.
That, Mrs. Millard. So smart to own an automatic dishwasher. And smarter still for insisting on a Frigidaire dishwasher. Built right in under the counter. There simply isn't another dishwasher on the market that has the features or the capacity of a new Frigidaire automatic dishwasher. Look at all it holds in just one loading. Big 11-inch plates, bulky griddles, pots and pans, you name it, chances are it'll fit in here. If you want a dishwasher that can handle all your dishes, this is it. And even more important, this Frigidaire automatic really gets them clean. That's another way dishwashers made today let you down. And here's why. In most dishwashers, the cleaning spray is beneath the lower rack. The dishes down here come clean, but what about the ones in the upper rack? Here's Frigidaire's answer. This powerful turbo spray tube is in between the upper and lower racks where it can clean all the dishes. And I do mean clean. It scours your dishes with 11,000 whirling needle sprays of water every minute. Your Frigidaire dealer is waiting to show you Frigidaire automatic dishwashers in under-counter, sink combination, and freestanding cabinet models. All offer further proof you get the best when you buy Frigidaire, built and backed by General Motors.
Mr. and Mrs. Chrisman, you can win up to $1,200 in cash tonight on your way to our trust fund question. Your first correct answer is worth $100. Your second correct answer is worth $200. Your third correct answer is worth $300. And Edgar, here are the Chrismans' questions.
Thank you. Well, John, for your first question, we want to get an idea of how much you know about your child bride. Will you both please go to the board behind you? John, your wife has been cooking for at least 11 years. How do you classify her cooking? Good, average, or terrible? And Jean, how do you classify your own cooking? Good, average, or terrible? Just write down the word good, average, or terrible.
He writes good, and she writes good. You now have $100. Your next correct answer will be worth $200.
The subject of your second question is house and garden. Do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife to answer?
I trust my wife.
All right. If you were using some sal soda, would you be more likely to sprinkle it on a rose bush, do your spring cleaning with it, or take it for a headache?
I'd use it for spring cleaning.
You certainly would.
You now have $300, and your next correct answer will be worth $300.
The subject of your third question is resorts and vacation lands. Do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I trust myself.
All right. The French Riviera is one of the world's most popular playgrounds. On what sea is it located?
Mediterranean?
Mediterranean is right.
Well, Edgar, the Chrismans have won $600, and they may now risk all of it, none of it, or part of it on our board question.
And remember, the more the question is worth, the harder it is. Now, do you wish to select a category?
Cities of the world.
Cities of the world. And do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I trust myself.
You trust yourself. Venice, Italy is built on many small islands connected by bridges. Name another European city built on nearly 100 islands connected by 290 bridges.
Italy?
No, it's Amsterdam.
Well, Edgar, I'm sorry, but the Chrismans had $600, risked $600, and unfortunately lost $600. Do you have another question there for about, say $100?
Yes, can't let you leave without a penny. What ocean would you think it would be called the Blue Pacific?
Pacific.
Right.
And the Chrismans have a grand total of $100. And now Edgar Bergen with Johnny McCarthy. Well, Edgar and Charlie here are Stanley and Thelma Smith of Sheffield, England. They now live in Southgate, California.
Well, good evening, Thelma and Stanley. Now, it's nice to have you with us. Stanley, what do you do?
I work as a wire plater.
Oh, I see. And you're both from England. Where were you married in England?
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't even know Thelma in England.
I see. And how did you meet over here, then?
Well, it was an accident, really, the way we met. My girlfriend and I went to a soccer game up in Hollywood.
Yes.
And I was seated next to this man. And while everybody else was cheering for the game, he stood up and said, "Jolly good show, chaps."
Yes.
And then when he sat down, he was rather exhausted. He sat down and he pulled out this thermos bottle of tea.
Yes.
So I suspected he might be British.
You suspect. Well, now, what happened after the game, Thelma?
Well, he asked for my phone number, and I gave it to him.
Yes.
But the only time he ever called me was when there was a soccer game being played.
Well, how do you like that? Yeah.
And that's the way it went for quite a while after that.
You were quite fond of soccer games, is that it, then?
Well, actually, no, because that was the first one I'd ever seen.
Oh, the
one up
first
in
one.
Hollywood. Mm-hmm.
Well,
And I didn't understand much about it then, and I don't understand much about it now.
I see.
In fact, I hate soccer.
You hate it. You had no business being there at all. Well, why didn't you tell him that you hated soccer, then?
Well, I didn't want to hurt his feelings, and I thought maybe he wouldn't even take me anywhere else.
Uh-huh.
So we went to quite a few soccer games, and finally I couldn't stand it any longer. I said, could we please go somewhere else just for a change?
Well...
And he started taking me other places then.
I see it. Where was that?
Cricket games.
Cricket. You know, Thelma, a lot of us have never seen a cricket game. Maybe you ought to tell us a little how cricket is played.
Well, as I remember, there are about 11 men on the pitch, and one man is the bowler. As a matter of fact, though, I hate cricket even more than I hate soccer.
I see. Stanley, on your questionnaire, I think you said you were once on a radio quiz show in England. What about that?
Oh, that's right. That was when I was in the Navy.
Uh-huh.
I was on a show called... No, I won the jackpot on the show of 37 shillings and sixpence.
37 shillings and sixpence. Mm-hmm. How much is that in American money? And it probably was. All right, now. No, that is not being kind. How much is that about in American money?
That is about $6.
$6, yes. Mm-hmm. Now, what was the name of this show?
The name of the show was Have a Go, Joe.
Have a go, Joe. Yeah.
And the MC's name was Wilfred Pickles.
The show must have been a dilly. Yeah, all right. where did it come from? Dilly Pickle Circus? No. Ah, that's Piccadilly. You've got it turned around. Well, so what? A pickle looks the same at both ends? All right. You certainly have an unusual name there for the shows in England. Yeah. I wonder what they would call Do You Trust Your Wife over there in England. Yeah, I don't know. I see. They might call it Is Tater Wise to Mater? No, I don't think so. Is your spouse a bit of a louse? No. Well, you've certainly been an interesting couple here to talk to. Now let's play what? Do You Trust Your Wife? Oh, he knows the name. Yes. Well, good luck, kids. All right.
Yes. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you can win up to $1,200 in cash tonight on your way to our trust fund question. Your first correct answer is worth $100. And Edgar, there are the questions for the Smiths.
Stanley, for your first question, we want to see how much you know about your wife. Will you both please go to the board behind you? Now, all right, Stanley, we want you to think of the very first time Thelma kissed you. Was it an exciting kiss? Was it warm? Or was it just a peck? Now, you just write down either exciting, warm, or peck. And Thelma, you write down whether you felt that first kiss was exciting, warm, or just a peck. Exciting, warm, or peck.
Oh, he wrote exciting. And she wrote excited. And you now have $100. Your next correct answer is worth $200.
And the subject of your second question is house and garden. Now, do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I trust my wife.
All right. If you were making a compost, would you be preparing a fruit dessert, building a corral, or preparing a mixture to enrich the soil?
Enriching the soil.
That is right.
You now have $300, and your next correct answer will be worth $300.
The subject of your third question is resorts and vacation lands. Do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I'll trust my wife.
All right. If you were vacationing in the Dominican Republic, you'd probably want to go swimming in what body of water would it be?
The Pacific.
I'm sorry, it would be the Caribbean or the Caribbean.
Well, Edgar, the Smiths have won $300, and they may now risk all of it, none of it, or part of it on our board question.
Now, do you wish to select a category?
I'll take the 300 one.
The 300, and do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I'll trust my wife.
And it's about the theater. Princess Ida, Iolanthe, and the Gondoliers were operettas written by the same masters of words and music. What is the name of this team?
Gilbert and Sullivan.
That is right.
The Smiths have a grand total of $600. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Edgar Bergen back with our perennial bachelor girl, Effie Clinker. Edgar, I'd like you to meet Frank and Bobby Rouser of Pasadena, California.
Frank, what do you do?
I'm a house painter.
Frank, how did you and Bobby, how did you meet?
Well, I was painting a house back in Pittsburgh in '31, and it was a hot, sultry day, and I needed a drink of water, so there had one bathroom there where we used to always get a drink of water, so I moved the ladder over and up the ladder, and not thinking the shade was pulled, I reached in and grabbed a hold of the string and snapped the shade up.
Yes?
There she was, getting out of the tub, dripping wet.
I must get my house painted.
Yeah. Well, now, that was embarrassing. What did you do?
Well, I didn't know what to do.
Why didn't you say, pardon me, sir, is this the right road to Harrisburg or something?
Well, now, what happened after that?
Well, I went down and I apologized and asked her for a date.
Yes.
She said yes. So,
Well, then there seems to be a lot in this first impression, you know. Yeah. And then what happened?
well, we've seen quite a lot of each other.
You Have you ever had an experience like that, Effie?
Well, no, but once a man tried to peek in my window.
Yes.
Oh, it was terrible.
Terrible, yes.
Yeah, but he was too short.
He was too short. What did you do?
I just put a ladder outside.
You put a ladder out there. What happened?
He stole the ladder.
He stole. Bobby, how long was it before you two got married then?
Oh, 5 years.
5 years. Well, what took so long there?
Well, every time we planned or made plans,
Yeah.
Frank would have an accident.
Have an accident. Well, now, what kind of an accident did you have, Frank?
Well, the first time we planned to get married, I fell off a ladder.
Oh, you're the one, are you? At least you can do is bring back the ladder.
Yeah, all right. And then after that, after you fell off the ladder, then you got married, huh?
Well, we planned again.
Yeah.
I was walking across the roof, and the roof gave away. I found myself in the room below.
Yeah, I see. In the bathroom, no doubt. And then, of course, after that, you got married.
No, I had still another accident.
Well, of course, after that, you got married.
Yes, finally, after I recovered.
Bobby, obviously, the worst is behind you now.
Oh, yes, very much so. I have 2 children, Barbara 12 and Frank is 16.
Oh, fine.
And since I'm out here, I've joined the Contestants Club.
Well, what is a contestants club?
Well, it's a group of the national organization of people that enter contests.
I see.
And ours is called the Winthusiast of San Gabriel Valley.
You know, I think I'll run a contest for men only.
Yes, I thought so. Well, now, what would you have them do?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have them complete a limerick.
Yes.
I want to marry Effie Clinker because,
Yes.
in case of a tie, woo, 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 woo.
Yeah. Well, now, what do you have to do to be eligible?
Just be eligible as all.
I see.
And remember, all contestants become the property of Effie Clinker.
Oh, I imagine so, yes. Well, now, it's time to play Do You Trust Your Wife? And I'll see you a little later, Effie.
All right. But before I'd go, I'd like to say something to my male admirers.
Yes? What is it?
Where are you?
All right.
Mr. and Mrs. Rouser, you can win up to $1,200 in cash tonight on your way to our trust fund question. Your first correct answer is worth $100. There are the questions, Edgar.
Well, Frank, for your first question, we want to find out how much you know about your wife. Will you both please go to the board behind you? Frank, if your wife picked up a choice bit of gossip and was told to keep it a secret, would she keep it to herself? Would she tell her best friend? Or would she spread it all over town? Now, you just write down either keep, tell, or spread. And, Bobby, you write down what you would actually do. Keep, tell, or spread.
He wrote keep, and she wrote keep. You now have $100. Your next correct answer will be worth $200.
The subject of your second question is women in sports. Do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I trust my wife.
All right. One of the greatest women athletes of all time is Babe Dietrichson. What is her married name?
The Harriest.
That is right. The Harriest.
You now have $300, and your next correct answer will be worth $300.
The subject of your third question is books and authors. Do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I still trust my wife.
Yes, you're doing all right. One of Victor Hugo's most famous characters was Jean Valjean. In what novel was he the central figure?
I don't know.
Well, it was Les Miserables.
Oh.
Edgar, the Rousers have won $300, and they may now risk all of it, none of it, or part of it on our board question.
Now, do you wish to select a category?
We'll pick the $200 question.
$200, and do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I still trust my wife.
American folklore. What is the name of the giant lumberjack who, with the help of his blue ox, Babe, performed various superhuman feats? Well, it was Paul Bunyan.
And the Rousers have a grand total of $100. And now it's time for our trust fund question. We will place in trust with the world's largest bank, the Bank of America in California, a trust fund which will pay tonight's winning couple $100 a week for an entire year. Well, last week our parakeet fancier, Robert Schulteis, and his wife Doris won $100 a week for a year. And here they are to try for $100 a week for a second year.
Well, Bob and Doris, it's nice to see you again. And have you decided what you're going to do with the money that you've won?
Yes, we have. We've decided that we'll give 10% of it to our church.
Yes.
And it's come at a particularly good time because we've just adopted a baby.
Well, congratulations. It's certainly been a good week for you then. Maybe your luck will stay with you tonight. And now, Ed, who are this week's winners?
To compete with the Schulteises are tonight's winning couples, Stanley and Thelma Smith. The subject for tonight's trust fund question is international currency. And here's that question, Edgar.
Well, gentlemen, you've heard the category. There's a lot of money at stake. Now, do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife? I hope you make the right choice. In just a few seconds, our couples will match wits in the big trust fund question. Right now, here's another bright idea from Frigidaire.
Ever feel your old range is ready to fall apart? If so, it couldn't happen at a better time than right now. And here's why. Big news from Frigidaire. This 56 Frigidaire Special Imperial range is now available. What's so special about it? The price. Never before has this type range been offered at such a low, low price. It's got the features you want. French doors, a huge quick clean oven, everything. Your Frigidaire dealer wants to show it to you, and at a price you can't resist. See him.
Mr. Schultheis, do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I'll trust myself.
And Mr. Smith, do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I think I'd better trust my wife.
Very well, then. Will you go to the board, please? You'll have 20 seconds to answer this question. It's worth $100 a week for a year, and the winner can come back and perhaps make enough to retire for life. This may be the most important answer you will ever have to give. You have 20 seconds, so think clearly, write fast, get the pen ready. Here is the question. The dollar is the monetary unit of the United States. When I say go, write down the monetary units of currency for as many countries on the board as you can. Misspelling doesn't count. But do not abbreviate. Do not abbreviate. And ready, go.
The correct answers are English pound, Cuban peso, Swiss franc, Canadian dollar, Mexican peso, French franc, Swedish krona, Spanish peseta, Italian lira, and Venezuelan bolivar. Now, the Schultheises have 2 correct, and the Smiths have 4 correct. And the Smiths are our trust fund winners with $100 a week every week for an entire year.
You certainly did a good job. Now, of course, you're going to come back and see us next week and try for $100 a week for 2 years, aren't you?
Oh, we'd love to.
You can't lose a thing by it. We'll see you next week then.
Thank you very much.
Try and relax. Although the Schultheises lost tonight, they won $600 their first week, and we will pay them $100 a week every week for 1 year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight. And don't forget, we have a date next week at the same time to find out whether tonight's Trust Fund champions will win $100 a week for another year, or will there be a new winner on Do You Trust Your Wife?
Good night to Charlie McCarthy.
Good night.
Mortimer Snerd.
Oh, me too.
And Edgar Bergen.
See you next week, folks.
Until next week, when they'll be back again with Do You Trust Your Wife? Brought to you by the Frigidaire division of General Motors and the Frigidaire dealers in your community.